Hey guys, so today we are going to talk about Betta Imbellis, and specifically what kind of traits should I be looking for if I want to look for a nice healthy Betta Imbellis. I'm also going to be discussing some things such as hybridization, so I hope you guys can get some good information from this video. Now this video is going to be based on my opinion because I am specifically talking about the wild-caught Betta Imbellis and not the common Thai imports you see on the web. The reason for this is because Betta Imbellis from Thailand are commonly mass-produced in farms and it's very difficult to find out if the source are actually true wild. Now I know this because so-called wild Imbellis that you find online have traits that are typical of hybrids, overly extended fins and extra spread iridescence, and color morphs such as the blue, gray, and copper colorations. Okay, so the first thing that I look for is a nice streamlined body that is actually thick and somewhat muscular. The Imbellis shown above is probably one of the best examples of what I'm talking about. It has smooth, nice curved lines where the body isn't too short or isn't too skinny. The head should also round to a tip with no upward turned lips. Don't confuse the Imbellis with the classic Thai fighters. Thai fighters have strong bodies and upward turned lips. Okay, so let's talk about finish. Almost all of my wild-caught Betta Imbellis that I imported in have fins on the shorter end. I believe, at least in Vietnam, that Betta Imbellis and also Betta Siam Orientalis naturally have very short fins. Compare that to fish like Smaragdinas and Mahachais, both of which have naturally very long fins. If you see overly long fins, it is a high probability that it has been hybridized. So it should be fitting that the fin types should be closely related to what it is naturally found in the wild. That means a shorter fin isn't overly long like those found in Mahachai or Smaragdina. The caudal fin is also kept very short. As such, it should only take up about 1/4 of the overall body length. The fish shown above is actually an excellent example. The strong streamlined body coupled with the shorter fins can give the fish a very natural aesthetic. And I also think it serves a purpose. Fish's bodies are always adapted to the environment, and so I believe a body like this allows the fish to quickly escape predators. Having overly long fins might actually slow down the fish. Okay, so let's talk about colors. Now all wild bettas are phenotypically metallic green. This means that they are homozygous for the teal iridescence and for the metallic gene. Now if you don't know what I'm talking about, this basically means that the bettas are actually teal when there's lighting only from above and green when there's lighting coming directly at them. Because most people don't really understand this, they just refer to their fish as green. So if your bettas doesn't change color, as in royal blue or gray, then you can be certain that the fish you have is actually not a true wild Imbellis. For color in the finnage, there should be only red at the crescent tip of the caudal fin, the midline and base of the ventral fin, and only at the tip of the anal fin. When it comes to body color and iridescence, you want to look for a green metallic sheen that appears as 2 green bars or patches on the gill plates. The green on the cheeks is one of the defining characteristics of the Imbellis, but this trait is also shared by the Mahachai, so don't get them too confused. The green metallic should also be seen in the dorsal fin and the caudal fin. Also on the dorsal fin, there should also be some nice spiderweb pattern. This trait is actually pretty typical for most wild bettas. Ideally, there should be no red on the dorsal fin. Red on the dorsal fin can indicate hybridization, or it could be that some populations have red on the dorsal fin. As far as my experience go, I actually have never found a wild Imbellis that has red on the dorsal fin, at least not the one found in Vietnam. There should be evenly spaced metallics on the scaling of the bodies. The body iridescence should also not be too spread, and by that I mean you should still be able to see the gaps between the scales and the body. To me, spread iridescence is a trait of hybridization. It could be coming from domestics, or it could be coming from other splendid types with naturally higher amount of spread iridescence, such as Smaragdinas. The anal fin tend to have less metallic, so it looks more blue than green. There should be a black rim around the caudal fin, although on this particular specimen it's kind of been damaged, probably because of natural sparring that occurs in the wild. And finally, for a key feature, the color of the skin, which is something that's not very talked about. You want to look for a fish that has very nice dark skin underneath the iridescence. This will make the iridescence pop out a little more. Okay, so now let's look at an Imbellis that's clearly not wild, and let's take a look at the traits that it has. Right away, you can see that the iridescence on the cheek are actually too spread, and by that I mean it covers more than it normally does. This leads to a single patch of iridescence instead of two defined bars. There's also red on the dorsal fin. Now, this feature does not necessarily mean that it's a hybrid, because I think it does exist in some population. But it's not an ideal trait, and it's a trait that occurs in a lot of hybrids and domestics. Nevertheless, I still think this particular specimen is a very nice looking fish. And so if you really like the look of your hybrid fish, there's nothing stopping you from enjoying them just like a regular wild. Alright, so that's gonna be it for today. One thing though, I didn't go over females. Females should be similar to the male, except they have much less iridescence on the body. Overall, less coloration, especially true wild type females. They can actually look dull, completely dull. Honestly, for female, just gotta make sure that you get them from a good, reliable stock, or someone with a good reputation. Maybe I'll make a separate video on separating the females and the splendid type later. But for now, thanks for watching guys.